Hi, and thank you for trusting me to walk with you through what I know can feel like one of the most nerve-wracking parts of international travel. If you have seen headlines about immigration questions at the port of entry that can deny you entry into the United States in 2026, and if that language made your heart race just a little bit, I want you to know that I understand why. My goal today is not to create fear. It is to bring clarity. I am going to walk you through the questions that Customs and Border Protection officers commonly ask, help you understand why they ask them, and most importantly, help you prepare calmly and confidently so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And as always, this is not legal advice. I am not a government official or an attorney. I am simply here to help you understand information in a simple, calm, and supportive way, so you do not feel lost or overwhelmed. Let me start by saying something that often gets lost in dramatic headlines. The vast majority of travelers pass through United States Customs and Border Protection inspection in just a few minutes. Most people are asked a few simple questions, have their documents reviewed, and are admitted into the country without any issues. The process is designed to be efficient. Officers are screening thousands of people every day. They are looking for consistency, clarity, and truthfulness. If your travel documents are in order, if your answers match your visa or immigration status, and if you are traveling for a legitimate purpose that matches what you told the consulate when you applied for your visa, then in most situations, you will move through primary inspection smoothly and quickly. Now, I want to be honest with you. There are certain questions and certain situations that can trigger additional screening, or in rare cases, denial of entry. That is the reality. But understanding what those questions are and why officers ask them is not about creating panic. It is about helping you prepare. When you know what to expect, you can answer calmly. When you answer calmly and truthfully, the process moves faster. And when the process moves faster, you spend less time in the inspection line and more time starting your trip or returning home to your family. So let me walk you through the most common questions that CBP officers ask at United States ports of entry in 2026, and let me explain what they are really trying to verify with each question. The first question almost everyone hears is, what is the purpose of your visit to the United States? If you are entering on a tourist visa, they want to hear tourism, vacation, visiting family, or sightseeing. If you are on a business visa, they want to hear attending meetings, a conference, or business discussions. If you are on a student visa, they want to hear studying at this specific university. If you are a green card holder returning home, the answer is simple. I live here. This is my home. What the officer is really checking is whether your stated purpose matches your visa type and matches the story you told when you applied for that visa at the consulate. Inconsistency raises questions. If you said you were coming for tourism, but your luggage is full of business contracts and sales brochures, that creates a problem. If you said you were visiting family for 2 weeks, but you packed 6 suitcases and quit your job back home, that creates suspicion. The key is truthfulness and consistency. The second common question is, how long will you be staying in the United States? For tourists on a B2 visa, the typical answer might be 1 week, 2 weeks, or a month. Even if your visa is valid for 10 years, that does not mean you can stay for 10 years. Most tourist visitors are admitted for up to 6 months, but the officer wants to know your specific plan. If you say you are staying for 3 weeks, make sure your return flight is booked for 3 weeks. If you say you are visiting for a few days and the officer sees you have no return ticket at all, that is a red flag. For students, the answer aligns with your program. I am here for the fall semester, or I am here for a 4-year undergraduate program. For workers on H-1B or L-1 visas, your answer should match your approved petition. I am here to work for this company for the next 3 years as approved in my visa petition. And for green card holders, the question usually does not come up because you live here permanently. But if you have been outside the United States for several months, the officer may ask how long you were away and why. The third question you will almost always hear is, where will you be staying? Officers want to know that you have a clear plan. If you are a tourist, you should have a hotel reservation, an Airbnb booking, or the address of the family member or friend you are visiting. If you say, I do not know yet, I will figure it out when I get there, That sounds vague and unplanned. It raises questions about whether you are really just visiting, or whether you might be planning to stay and work illegally. If you are a student, you might say, I am staying in the university dormitory, or I have an apartment near campus at this address. If you are a worker, you might say, I have a rental apartment in this city, or I am staying temporarily in a hotel while I find permanent housing. The key is having a specific answer ready. Now, let me address a question that makes many travelers nervous. Have you visited the United States before? And if so, how often do you come to the United States? This is not a trick question. It is not designed to punish you for visiting frequently. What the officer is checking is your compliance history. Did you follow the rules on your previous visits? Did you overstay your visa? Did you leave on time? Are you visiting so frequently and for such long durations that it looks like you are actually living in the United States on a tourist visa instead of truly visiting? If you are a frequent visitor, honesty is your best protection. Yes, I visit 3 or 4 times a year to see my family. Or, yes, I come here regularly for business meetings with my company's U.S. office. The issue is not frequency. The issue is pattern. If you are spending 8 months out of the year in the United States on a tourist visa, CBP may start to question whether you are actually a tourist or whether you are trying to live here without proper status. That is when problems arise. But if you are visiting legitimately, staying for reasonable periods, and leaving on time, then visiting multiple times is not a problem. Another question that can feel personal is, what do you do for work in your home country? Or, what is your occupation? Officers ask this to assess your ties to your home country. Do you have a job, a career, a business, responsibilities that will pull you back home after your visit? Or does it seem like you have nothing to return to, which might suggest you are planning to stay in the United States and work illegally? If you have a steady job, say so clearly. I am a software engineer at this company. I am a teacher. I run my own business. If you are retired, say that. I am retired. If you are a student in your home country but visiting the U.S. for vacation, explain that. I am a university student and I am here during my summer break. For people traveling on work visas like H-1B or L-1, this question shifts slightly. The officer may ask, what is your job title and who is your employer? Your answer should match exactly what is on your approved visa petition. If your petition says you are a senior software developer at XYZ Corporation, do not say you are a manager or a consultant. Consistency matters. One question that surprises many travelers is, how are you funding this trip? Or, do you have enough money to support yourself during your stay? This is especially common for tourists and students. Officers want to see that you are not coming to the United States to work illegally because you cannot afford your trip any other way. If you are a tourist, you might say, I have savings, or my family is supporting me, or I work full-time and saved for this vacation. If you are a student, your answer might be, I have a scholarship, or my parents are paying my tuition and living expenses, or I have financial support documented in my I-20 form. The key is showing that you have legitimate financial resources and are not planning to work without authorization. Now let me talk about a question that often causes confusion. Are you carrying any food, plants, or animal products? This is part of agricultural inspection, and it is required by law. The United States has strict rules about what food and plant products can enter the country, because they can carry diseases or pests that harm American agriculture. If you are carrying fruits, vegetables, meat, dairy, seeds, or certain packaged foods, you must declare them. The officer will decide whether they are allowed or need to be confiscated. Not declaring these items can result in fines or future travel problems. When in doubt, declare it. It is always better to declare something and have the officer say it is fine than to not declare it and get caught with prohibited items in your bag. For green card holders returning home after travel, the questions are slightly different but equally important. Officers may ask, how long were you outside the United States? If you were gone for more than 6 months, this can trigger additional questions because extended absences can raise concerns about whether you are maintaining your permanent residence. The law says that green card holders must maintain their primary home in the United States. If you spend most of your time outside the country, CBP may question whether you have abandoned your residency. Another question green card holders might hear is, where is your primary residence? Or, Do you still live in the United States? The correct answer should reflect the truth. Yes, I live in this city and state. I was visiting family abroad, but I am coming home. I was on a work assignment overseas, but my home is here. If you have been gone for a long time, be prepared to show evidence of your ties to the United States. Utility bills in your name, lease agreements, tax returns, bank statements, employment letters, proof that your life is still based in America. Now let me address something that creates a lot of anxiety. Electronic device searches. Yes, CBP officers have the legal authority to search your phone, laptop, tablet, and other electronic devices when you enter the United States. This applies to everyone, including United States citizens. They do not need a warrant. They do not need probable cause. The border search exception to the Fourth Amendment allows them to inspect your devices to enforce customs and immigration laws. For most travelers, this does not happen. Device searches are not routine for everyone, but if you are selected for secondary inspection, it becomes more likely. Officers may ask you to unlock your phone. They may scroll through your photos, text messages, emails, social media accounts, and apps. They are looking for evidence of anything that contradicts your stated purpose of travel. If you said you are a tourist, but your emails show you are negotiating a job offer, that is a problem. If you said you are visiting family, but your messages show you are planning to stay permanently, that is a problem. Can you refuse to unlock your phone? Technically, yes, but for visa holders and non-citizens, refusing can result in denial of entry. The officer may tell you that if you do not provide access, they cannot verify your admissibility, and they will not let you in. For United States citizens, you cannot be denied entry to your own country, but refusing can result in your device being seized and held for further examination, and it will almost certainly result in significant delays and additional questioning. The best approach is to be smart about what you carry on your devices. If you are traveling internationally, consider using a separate travel phone with minimal personal data. Log out of sensitive accounts before you arrive at the port of entry. Delete anything that could be misinterpreted. Do not carry anything on your device that contradicts your visa status or travel purpose. And if you are asked to unlock your device, stay calm, comply, and do not volunteer information beyond what is asked. Now let me talk about secondary inspection, because this is where many people experience the longest delays and the most stress. Secondary inspection is not the same as being denied entry. It simply means the officer at the primary inspection line needs more time or more information to make a decision about your admissibility. You might be sent to secondary inspection for many reasons. Your name might match someone on a watch list, and they need to verify you are not that person. Your visa might have a recent update in the system that is not showing up yet. You might have answered a question in a way that seemed inconsistent, and they want to clarify. You might have been selected for a random check. Or there might be something in your travel history, your documents, or your answers that requires further review. Secondary inspection can take anywhere from 30 minutes to several hours. During this time, officers may ask you detailed questions about your travel plans, your background, your employment, your family, your finances. They may search your luggage thoroughly. They may call your employer or your university to verify information. They may review your social media profiles, your emails, your text messages. It is a more comprehensive process, and it can feel invasive and exhausting. Here is what I want you to know. Being sent to secondary inspection does not mean you did anything wrong. It does not mean you are in trouble. It does not mean you will be denied entry. Many travelers go through secondary inspection and are cleared and admitted without any problems. The key is to stay calm, stay polite, answer truthfully, and do not argue with the officers. Arguing, being rude, or becoming defensive will only make the process longer and harder. If you are in secondary inspection and the situation feels like it is heading toward a denial of entry, you have a few options. If you are a visa holder, you may be offered the chance to withdraw your application for admission. This means you voluntarily choose not to enter the United States, and you return to your home country on the next available flight. Withdrawing is different from being formally denied entry or removed. If you are denied entry, that goes on your immigration record and can affect future visa applications. If you withdraw, you avoid that formal denial, though it may still be noted in the system. If you are offered the option to withdraw, you should seriously consider it, especially if you believe the officer is preparing to issue an expedited removal order, which would bar you from returning to the United States for 5 years. If you are a United States citizen or a green card holder, you cannot be denied entry to the United States. You have a legal right to enter your own country. However, you can be delayed, questioned extensively, and subjected to thorough searches. If you are a green card holder and CBP believes you may have abandoned your residency, they may pressure you to sign a form called I-407, which is a voluntary surrender of your green card. Do not sign this form without speaking to an immigration attorney. Once you sign it, you give up your green card, and it is extremely difficult to get it back. If an officer asks you to sign I-407, you can politely say, "I would like to speak to an attorney before signing anything." They cannot force you to sign it. Now let me address a question I have been seeing frequently. What if I made a mistake on my visa application or during a previous entry? What if my answer today is slightly different from what I said before? Honest mistakes happen. If you realize you gave an incorrect answer in the past, the best thing to do is to be honest if the question comes up again. Do not lie to cover up a previous mistake, because lying to a CBP officer is a serious immigration violation called misrepresentation, and it can result in a permanent ban from the United States. If you accidentally said you were staying for 2 weeks last time, but you ended up staying for 3, and the officer asks about it, explain truthfully. I originally planned 2 weeks, but I extended my stay within the allowed time. That is not a problem as long as you did not overstay your authorized period. But if the mistake involves something more significant, like incorrect information on your visa application, you should consult with an immigration attorney before you travel. Do not assume the mistake will go unnoticed. Border officers have access to all of your previous visa applications, entry and exit records, and immigration history. Inconsistencies will come up, and it is better to address them proactively with legal guidance than to be caught off guard at the airport. Let me also say this. I know the port of entry process can feel intimidating. I know that standing in front of a CBP officer, even when you have done nothing wrong, can make your heart race. I know that some officers can seem unfriendly, impatient, or even rude, and I know that can make you feel small or defensive. But I want you to remember that their job is to screen thousands of travelers quickly and to protect the borders of the United States. They are trained to be skeptical. They are trained to look for inconsistencies. That is their responsibility. It is not personal, even though it can feel that way. Your job is to stay calm, answer truthfully, provide clear and direct responses, and avoid volunteering unnecessary information. Do not over-explain. Do not ramble. Do not argue. If the officer asks why you are visiting, say tourism or visiting family, not, "Well, my cousin lives here, and I have not seen her in 5 years, and she invited me for her wedding, and I thought I would also do some sightseeing and maybe visit a few friends, and I have always wanted to see New York." Short, clear, direct answers are better. And if you do not understand a question, it is okay to ask the officer to repeat it or to clarify what they are asking. It is better to ask for clarification than to guess and give a wrong answer. You can say, "I am sorry, I did not understand the question. Could you please repeat it?" That is perfectly fine. Now let me talk about what you can do before you travel to prepare yourself and reduce the chances of problems at the port of entry. First, make sure all of your documents are in order. Your passport should be valid for at least 6 months beyond your planned date of entry into the United States. Many countries require this 6-month validity rule, and if your passport is close to expiring, you may be denied boarding by the airline before you even reach the United States. Your visas should be valid and should match the purpose of your trip. If you are traveling on a tourist visa, do not carry business documents or work contracts in your luggage. If you are traveling on a work visa, carry a copy of your approved petition, your employment letter, and any other supporting documents. Second, know your itinerary. Know where you are staying. Know your return flight details. Have confirmations printed or saved on your phone. If you are visiting family or friends, know their full names, addresses, and phone numbers. Officers may ask for this information, and you should be able to provide it without hesitation. Third, review your travel history. Know how many times you have visited the United States in the past year. Know how long you stayed on each visit. If you have a complicated travel pattern, be prepared to explain it clearly. I visit frequently for business. I have family here and I visit them every few months. I am a student and I travel home during breaks. Whatever your pattern is, own it and explain it confidently. Fourth, clean up your digital footprint before you travel. If you have social media posts, emails, or text messages that could be misinterpreted, delete them or make your accounts private. If you posted online about looking for work in the United States and you are entering on a tourist visa, that could create problems. If you have messages joking about staying forever or never leaving, even if they were not serious, an officer might not see the humor. Be smart about what is on your devices. And fifth, if you have any concerns about your admissibility, consult with an immigration attorney before you travel. If you have a criminal record, even a minor one, if you overstayed a visa in the past, if you were previously denied entry or deported, if you have pending immigration applications or status changes, if you are a green card holder who has been outside the United States for a long time, if you have any of these situations, get legal advice before you book your flight. An attorney can help you prepare documentation, explain your situation clearly, and reduce the risk of problems at the border. I also want to address something specific to 2026. As of early 2026, the Trump administration has expanded biometric entry and exit screening for non-United States citizens at all ports of entry. This means that when you enter or leave the United States, CBP will take your photograph and may collect other biometric data like fingerprints. This is now standard procedure at most airports, seaports, and land borders. The system compares your biometrics to databases to verify your identity and check for any flags in the system. Additionally, visa applicants in certain categories, including H-1B workers, H-4 dependents, F-1 students, M-1 students, and J-1 exchange visitors, are now required to set their social media accounts to public visibility and to provide a list of their social media handles as part of the visa application process. This policy, which expanded in December 2025, means that consular officers and CBP officers can review your social media activity. They are looking for anything that contradicts your visa application or suggests you have intentions that do not match your visa type. There have also been expanded travel restrictions affecting nationals of certain countries. If you are from Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, South Sudan, Syria, or if you hold a Palestinian Authority-issued travel document, you may face additional vetting, longer processing times, and more scrutiny at the port of entry, even if you have a valid visa. These restrictions were announced in December 2025 and took effect in January 2026. Exceptions exist for green card holders, certain visa categories like diplomats and athletes, and people whose entry serves United States national interests, but the implementation has created more variability and unpredictability at ports of entry, especially in early 2026. I share all of this not to make you feel more anxious, but to help you understand the current environment. Immigration enforcement has intensified in 2026. Processing times are longer. Scrutiny is greater, variability is higher. What worked smoothly a year ago may now involve more questions, more delays, and more thorough inspections. This does not mean you cannot travel. It does not mean you will be denied entry. It means you need to be more prepared, more patient, and more careful about how you present yourself in your documents. Now let me return to the core truth that I want you to carry with you. The vast majority of travelers who have valid documents, truthful answers, and a legitimate purpose for their visit will pass through CBP inspection without serious problems. Yes, the process may take longer. Yes, you may be asked more questions. Yes, there may be additional screening. But if you are traveling legally, if you are honest, if you are prepared, then in most situations you will be admitted. The questions CBP officers ask are not designed to trap you. They are designed to verify your identity, your purpose, your admissibility, and your compliance with United States immigration law. If your answers are consistent, if they match your documents, if they align with your visa type, And if you can demonstrate clear ties to your home country or clear legal status in the United States, then you are doing everything right. I know the uncertainty can feel heavy. I know that after reading all of this, you might feel even more nervous about your next trip. But I want you to take a deep breath and remember this. Information is not meant to scare you. Information is meant to prepare you. When you know what questions to expect, you can practice your answers. When you know what documents to bring, you can organize them ahead of time. When you know what red flags to avoid, you can adjust your behavior, your digital presence, and your travel plans accordingly. You do not have to be perfect. You just have to be truthful, prepared, and calm. That is what CBP officers are looking for, not perfection, just honesty and consistency. If today's update helped you feel more informed or more prepared, I am truly glad. If you are still feeling anxious, that is okay too. International travel in 2026 is more complicated than it used to be, and your feelings are valid. But you do not have to navigate this alone. If you would like to receive more daily updates about United States immigration, visas, citizenship, green cards, and travel rules that affect you and your family, you are welcome to stay connected here. I will continue to share information as clearly and calmly as I can because I believe that you deserve to understand what is happening without having to wade through fear, confusion, or misinformation. Thank you for spending this time with me today.